China, undoubtedly, it's the country, the economy that's done best out of globalization. They want to keep free trade going. They didn't want TPP, of course, because that excluded them. But they've got a couple of schemes of their own, which they'll be peddling, I'm sure, at APEC. And they've got a lot of quite worried neighbours. You've got the situation in South Korea that you were talking about at the moment, which is political, but also the whole export situation from South Korea. You've got Japan not quite knowing where it is with Trump and so on. And so I think Beijing must see this as quite a fertile ground for it to till there on the trade front, and with quite a lot of politics mixed in with it. So I think the Asia-Pacific region, and East Asia in particular, is going to be a very, very interesting place in the coming year, with Trump on the one hand, with Japan, with Xi Jinping, with South Korea, and of course we always forget about the young leader in North Korea too, who could upset everything.
Trump has campaigned very hard through the Rust Belt, which is involving many states where steel is an issue, and you've had, I guess, a lot of steel traded through other countries, the likes of Vietnam, trying to get around some of the barriers and some of the concerns about dumping of Chinese steel. What happens if there is some form of a tariff or some form of a WTO case? Because in the past, when we've seen the states go after China on certain issues, it was tires versus chicken. You've had a fight, if we put a tariff on this product, we'll put a tariff on this product. Why isn't this still going to be the case, whether it's steel or something else that appeals to the voter?
It quite likely will be the case. In fact, I mean, the initial reaction of the Chinese Communist Party press to Trump and 45% tariff is, we can do the same if we want to do. Now, therefore, I think what China wants to do is to put the ball in Trump's court very much. Do you want to start a trade war or not? And then you can analyze that, and nobody knows, because we don't know how Trump is going to jump, of course, either to a series of minor skirmishes over specific products there, which can probably be settled. Trump, everybody says, is a transactional guy who will seek a deal and so on. The question behind that is, does he want a bigger deal in East Asia between the United States and China, with Japan involved? He saw Abe, after all, last week, which in a sense will freeze the situation there. And if you believe that Trump wants to get out of a lot of the US's global commitments, it's back to America. It's not isolationism, but it's a form of, we're no longer the special nation that has to look after everyone. He could do that kind of deal with China.
We're talking about global deals here, but when I was talking to the head of the WTO, he was saying to me a lot of the issues you might see crop up are just domestic policy issues, not fights on international trade fronts. So to what extent could we see that, where Trump tries to skew the balance, where corporates are incentivized to locate factories and other production at home, so you're no longer having a fight about goods coming into the country, because you do have manufacturing jobs staying in the United States or being brought back to the US?
Well, whether you can bring them back, and whether there is the labour force and the desire to work at the kind of rates which people work at in China, is, I think, a very big question indeed. But you've also got, at the same time, the Chinese economy slowing down there. It'll go on slowing down. I mean, there'll be short-term blips up and down and so on. But I think the Xi Jinping administration does genuinely want to cut down on excess capacity, above all steel and so on. So in a sense, you can see, China might actually be exporting, have less steel to export. And above all, what China must do is to move up into specialized steel and better quality steel, less slab steel, which has just been flooding the market with. So you could see a benevolent outcome to that, where it's actually in both sides' interest. And above all, Trump would have to have something to tell his voters, hey, I've done the deal, I've got a good deal for us, and does something more come out of that between the US and China? The problem is, frankly, we just don't know at the moment, because we don't know what Trump's priorities are going to be. But they can be driven quite largely by domestic politics.